All right, we are go. Hello, everybody. We are so just really thankful to spend a few minutes with you guys here tonight. Um, I want to just start out the meeting or the class, I should say, just by saying we are all on a different place in this journey. And I want to make sure that we start on the right note that we can carry a lot of shame and self rejection toward our bodies um, when we come into a type of situation like this where we want our bodies to do something and our bodies are not cooperating. Sometimes we get frustrated with ourselves and we can hate on our bodies. I just want to say that these bodies have carried us from the moment of conception until now. They've housed our souls, they've housed our mind, and they've been faithful to us. And for many of us, they have brought life into the world. Some of us are hoping for that. They're just amazing. There's nothing else in all the universe like the female body. So congratulate yourself that God trusted you with one. It's beautiful. And today we're not going to hate on ourselves. We're just going to talk about ways that we can support this amazing vessel that God has given us to bear a soul in this world. So I'm going to let Lydia kind of open it up and
Oh, hang on. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Lydia Ogden. So I am a chiropractor and mom. Between my husband and I, we have 3 boys. So I have a stepson that's 14 and a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So I'm really passionate about women's health, probably because I've always needed support in that area. So, and I feel like there's not a lot of good resources out there for as far as if you want to balance your hormones naturally. So that's what we want to try to do tonight, is just give you guys a little bit of education and dive a little bit deeper in some of these areas. So my hormone journey started, I started cycling in between like 7th and 8th grade. So what is that, like 13 or 14 years old? And they were like, I've never had regular cycles. So it was either like 28 days or 40 days long in between, or it would be really, really heavy, or it would be spotty. So my mom was really good to teach me, mark on your calendar when you started so that it'll be about a month after that, so you can take things with you. When you're in high school and junior high, that's like the most embarrassing thing if you forget those products at school. But it was just never consistent. And then my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was in 8th grade. So she was 41 years old. And she really started diving into just healing her body naturally, which trickled down to us. So I remember she came home one day and she's like, okay, we're getting rid of all deodorant because deodorant has aluminum in it. And so we're like, okay, Mom, whatever you say. So that's whenever I really started to understand that what we put on our body and in our body directly affects our health. So we'll fast forward to my husband and I got married. I was 21 and I still had one more year of undergrad to finish. And I knew that I wanted to go to graduate school. So that was not the time. And we knew that was not the time to have a baby. I knew that hormonal birth control pills were not good for you. And, but I was just like, well, I can't get pregnant. And everybody, all of my friends are on birth control. I'm sure it's fine. I don't smoke, all of those things. So I was on birth control for about 8 years until, once I graduated chiropractic school, practiced for about a year and decided, okay, it's time for us to start trying to have a family. Well, imagine that once you go off the pill, things still aren't regular for me. And it took us almost 2 years before we were able to, before I was able to get pregnant with my first. And during that time, ended up going to a fertility specialist and went on 3 rounds of fertility medication, similar to Clomid. But the funny thing was, you do 3 rounds, and then usually they have you take a break for a month. So it was during that month that I took a break when we conceived Deacon. So if I was doing everything naturally that I knew of. I was the acupuncture, my diet. I was doing all of those things. Had I known about what we're going to share with you tonight, I just think that story would be so different. And I think that it would, I mean, just knowing that I would have something additional than my diet, acupuncture, chiropractic, all of those things, having something else would have been so beneficial. So hopefully we will be able to share a little bit of this and help someone, or you guys can help, people that you may know. So you want me to start off, Erica? I'll start off just doing like an overview of the endocrine system as a whole. So our endocrine system is really complex. It's composed of the pineal gland, the pituitary, thyroid, adrenals, pancreas, ovaries, and testes for men. So all of these things have to be working together, and they also have to have communication with your nervous system, with your liver, with your gut. So if anything is off, then it can throw others off and out of balance. That's why it's so hard for people who have maybe been diagnosed with one specific thing to know what to do, because it's really your whole body that you have to support. So like Erica said, everyone is on the same wellness journey. Some are in different seasons, but what I would recommend is that you guys give yourself as much grace as you would give your best friend, as we're going to talk about this. So the first thing I want to talk about is estrogen dominance. So I would say a lot of women are walking around estrogen dominant and don't even realize it. So it's whenever you have too much estrogen in your body and you're not producing enough progesterone to counterbalance. You might still have some progesterone, but it's not enough to equal out that balance. So signs and symptoms of estrogen dominance would be fatigue, weight gain, especially in your hips, waist, and thighs, loss of sex drive, menstrual problems, light or heavy, infertility, PMS, fibrocystic breasts, uterine fibroids, increased risk of breast, uterine, and ovarian cancers, depression and anxiety, headaches, hair loss, trouble sleeping, cold hands and feet, memory problems, and foggy thinking. So that covers just about everything, right? But the thing is, like I actually tried like several OBGYNs whenever we're experiencing that. And even a fertility specialist, no one ever told me. They're not like, look, you're estrogen dominant. You're not producing enough progesterone. No, many times, I don't know if any or very many providers would really tell you these things, because there's not much that you can do about it other than lifestyle choices. So some of the causes of this would be modern day stress. Our bodies, because we're always on the go, always doing things, all the things, motherhood, work outside the home, life. So our bodies are in a constant sympathetic state, meaning that they think that a bear is always chasing us in the woods. So we aren't able to like rest and relax. So, if our bodies think a bear is chasing us in the woods, then the 3 things that it's not going to do is digest, sleep, or reproduce. So many of us have those problems, and just trying to be able to deal with stress in however way you find best would be great. Like sometimes I'm just like, I don't feel like I've breathed at all today. So just taking 3 deep breaths is a really good way to start calming yourself. The other thing would be exposure to xenoestrogens, so things that act like estrogen in the body, which would be all of the things that I had you guys scan if you did your homework, all the things that I had you guys scan, and any consumer products that would contain the SLS, phthalates, synthetic fragrances, anything synthetic that's not from plants, basically, could have xenoestrogens in them. Also, synthetic estrogens in birth control and hormone replacement therapy, diet, and processed food. So soy is a huge one that acts as estrogen in the body. So trying to look at all the labels if you're eating anything from a package and seeing what has soy in it. That one's a huge one. And then again, we're not able to digest. So in order for us to be able to rid, so we're always going to come into contact with some of these just, in the air, in our workplace and environment. But our body is made to be able to break that down through our digestive system and the liver. If it's not able to do that and we're not able to poop, then you're not able to get those things out of your body. So a major goal that you should have is, are you sleeping and are you pooping? So take a minute and think about that. And then I think Eric is going to switch over and talk about a few things that we can supplement with and use to also help flush out those toxins.
Okay. Yes, a couple of things. Just this is a holistic approach, so there's not just one thing that we're going to do to flush out toxins, but there's a whole lot of small things that we can do that add up together to make a pretty big difference in your life. So, as Lydia said, diet is huge. Green leafies, broccoli, anything, lots of hydration. Those things are going to bind to the xenoestrogens. They'll bind to the excess estrogen. They'll bind to toxins, and they will be excreted out of your body. Another good thing that we can do, it seems small, but a drop of lemon oil in your water every day, drop or two. The lemon oil helps to detox the liver, and the liver is the one responsible for getting rid of all this extra estrogen buildup. I didn't even realize, you guys, that I was estrogen dominant until I started to research, and it made a lot of sense the last few years with my cycles, how things have changed. The cold hands and cold feet that I always have, the really bad hair loss that I've experienced after my pregnancies, all kinds of things. I did not realize that my progesterone was low. So part of, we're going to have to work on supplementing progesterone, but also getting rid of the excess estrogen. So we have detoxifying, and then we also have just less exposure. So as Lydia said, doing the ditch and switch. So going around and scanning your shampoos, scanning your products, because there is a thing nowadays where it's green advertising. So they'll put clean green buzzwords on products and call it them natural, organic, green, clean. And then you'll flip it over and look on the back, and the last ingredient is perfume or fragrance. And then you'll look down the ingredients and you're like, this looks exactly the same as the not green thing, just with a little different wording. And it's because people, advertisers know that we're paying more attention, kind of. So scan your products and see what's really in them. Soaps, hand soaps, lotions, those sorts of things that we're putting on our bodies every day. We want to pay attention to that. Let's see, what else I want to tell you. Oh, so Progessence Plus, Lydia's got, I got rid of mine today. Lydia has it if you look on her screen. This is one that we can use daily. When you're just starting, I let Lydia, actually, I'm going to let you talk about how you started into the Pro Plus and what you did, and then how you.
Okay. So as soon as I found out about this product, I'm like, oh my gosh, this has been my missing link my entire life, pretty much. But so what I'd done is you can put, usually they say we start off with 1 to 2 drops, and you can put it like on your inner wrists, inner ankles, thighs, any places like that. But for the first couple of months, once I had both of my boys, it was like 5 years before I cycled because I was either pregnant or breastfeeding. So again, once it started back, it was all crazy. And so just doing this for 2 months, it is like crazy how like almost minimal cramping and not as heavy bleeding and starting at the same exact time. So 2 months I used this every day. And then after I felt like it was like becoming a little more balanced, then I have been doing it day 10 of my cycle until my period starts again, because that is when your normal progesterone starts to elevate, and that kind of just works with your body. So if you feel like you need to just use this, like if you feel like you're more balanced and that you just need to use it to cut, because it cleans out the receptor sites, it does all of this wonderful things. So if you feel like you just needed to use it for, what am I trying to think of, maintenance, I guess, maintenance, then you would start doing it day 10 and after. But if you need to get those hormones balanced, then I would use it every day for the first few months. Do you have anything else for that?
No, I think let's just move on to what a typical cycle looks like,
Okay.
that kind of A&P stuff.
Okay, so yes, like Erica said, these things, so you can't really supplement your way out of a bad diet, poor diet choices, and so that should always be the foundation. Making sure that you're eating lots of like just whole foods that are plants and good quality meats and nuts and seeds and all of those things, because that should be your foundation. And then all of these things that we talk about will just enhance and elevate your body's wellness. But what a normal cycle should look like, so the average is every 28 days. So some women are longer and some are shorter. And normally women will cycle for about 35 years. So if you're not on hormonal birth control, fun fact is that usually women will cycle with either the new moon or the full moon. So pay attention to that too, because it's kind of neat how your body works with the moon too. So first phase is menstruation, then it's the follicular, ovulation, and luteal phase. So day 1 is menstruation, when you get your period. That's the first day of full bleed. So if you have a few days of spotting before that, that's not considered day 1. And actually, usually that is a sign of low progesterone whenever you spot several days and then start. So during this phase, usually that's when estrogen and progesterone are the lowest. So that's when we're normally feeling pretty good. Our PMS symptoms are actually like the phase before, in the luteal phase. And this menstruation usually lasts about 5 days. And the next one would be the follicular phase. This is the time in between our first day of period and ovulation. So this is when your estrogen starts to rise as egg prepares to be released. And this is when our energy levels start to increase a little bit. So during this phase is when you would start doing that Pro Plus. And then ovulation is always mid-cycle. So everyone always says, day 14 is when you ovulate. But if your cycle is 30 days long, then it would actually be, day 15. So it's always right in the middle. And this is when estrogen peaks right before your egg is being released. So this is when your sex drive increases. This is when you have that egg white cervical fluid. That's a huge sign of when you are ovulating. So this is usually when you're feeling your best. And if you are going out to do any type of like a public speaking or anything like that, that is when is the best time for you to do that. So there's a book called Do Less by Kate Northrup, and she does all of the cycles with your energy levels and productivity. It's so interesting to me. But she always says ovulation, if you're going to do anything public, out in the public, do it then. That's when you're most attractive. And then the luteal phase is the time between ovulation and the start of menstruation. And this is when your body is preparing for possible pregnancy, when the progesterone is produced and it peaks and then drops if there's no sperm to meet the egg. And this is when those premenstrual, like the mood swings, the headaches, you feel crazy and off and not yourself. And PMS is not normal. So everyone just is like, oh, everyone has it. It's normal, but it is definitely a sign that your hormones are not balanced. And so if you have been on hormonal birth control and you're trying to conceive, then you want to definitely give your body a full year to even be ready to be able to have a baby. So that's when you want to eat those nourishing foods, detox the liver, and doing any other oils or any other supplements for that. And then, so we'll switch over to another phase of life. So women who are in perimenopause or menopausal, or even if you've had a full hysterectomy, then that's when you're not going to produce you'll produce a little bit from the adrenals, but it is much less than what you would produce with when you're menstruating or when you have your ovaries. So during that time, both estrogen and progesterone levels drop. That's when you'll start having night sweats, vaginal dryness, low libido, and that's when you start having an increased risk for osteoporosis. So, Erica, I think now you're going to talk about some of the oils that can help with all the things that we talked about.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to just go down the list of baby oils that we have. Okay.
Can't hear it at all.
Oh. Somebody here. All right. So, sclerescence vitality. This is one that we're going to use for estrogen support. Actually, I was reading on this week. Men can use sclerescence too. It is one that is adaptogenic, so it is going to support you in whatever way that you need, but it is going to support, if you're a girl, it's going to make, it helps you be more feminine in certain ways. So you're not going to want to use it later in your cycle, but early in your cycle, you can rub this on your abdomen. It's a vitality, so you can actually put it in your water and drink it. But it is going to be estrogen supporting. And let me see, you can even put a drop right under your tongue, but it supports healthy estrogen levels. There's an oil I don't have. It's called Lady Sclerol, and it is a blend of very powerful oils that clary sage, fennel. Let's see if I can have them all here. But it supports the estrogen phase of your cycle and the feminine hormones. A lot of women like to use this during their cycle, rub it on their abdomen, over the ovaries. Another one that women like to use during their cycle is called Dragon Time. That one, or also just plain old clary sage. You can put a few drops of clary sage rub it on your abdomen when you're menstruating, and it helps with cramps. Also another estrogen supporter, also migraine headaches. People use clary sage for hormonal migraine headaches. We touched on Pro Plus. That one is going to, it is a bioidentical progesterone. So if you've ever, a lot of pre and postmenopausal women will go on hormone replacement therapy. Those synthetic estrogens and progesterones they are foreign to the body, and that's what puts you at increased risk for uterine, breast, ovarian cancer when you're on hormone replacement therapy. They can be made from like a synthetic ingredient or from horse urine. Those are your two options. But the Pro Plus is actually made from a wild yam, and it's bioidentical to what is in your body. And the really cool thing is you can't overdose on these. Your body it will support your body to create the hormones that it needs to create, but you're not going to overdose. So, like Lydia said with the Pro Plus, some women use it every day, but if you find that you're nice and supported and regular, you can switch and begin on day 10 when your progesterone levels are peaking and use it until your cycle starts and then stop. The label on Pro Plus says you can use 2 to 4 drops up to 2 times a day, and then you can back off. As you are like cleansing your body from the xenoestrogens, you may want to use it more at first, like Lydia said, and then once you go through the cleanse, you can kind of back it down a little bit. Let me think here. Mood swings, Pro Plus, I've heard huge just feedback from women that it really helps with those hormonal mood swings. If you find that you're bleeding a lot, you're heavy bleeding and you're bleeding a lot, that's, Lydia and I were talking today, that's a sign of estrogen dominance. So you really want to focus on that progesterone support. So Pro Plus. There's also another cream that doesn't get a lot of mention, but it's a progenolone cream, which is the hormone that your body secretes that can become either progesterone, estrogen. So it is a precursor hormone. And Young Living has a prenolone cream, and you can put on 1/4 to a 1/2 teaspoon a day. And you're going to want to rotate sites on the prenolone cream. That is one they recommend for menopausal women, perimenopausal women for support in addition to the Pro Plus. So you can look that up. I think it's called Prenolone Plus. I'm going to post all the supplements in the group later. But it's not just for menopause. People, you can use it every day. Even men can use it because it's a precursor hormone. It'll turn into the sex hormone that your body needs. So your body is designed to be balanced. We're designed to have, there's all these feedback mechanisms that keep your hormones in check. And an unbalance happens when we get too much of one and we don't have enough of the good stuff to make the other. But if we give our body what it needs, it will balance itself back out. And like Lydia was saying earlier, starting with the solid foundation of sleep and nutrition and hydration and getting rid of the xenoestrogens or the fake estrogen that's flooding our system, and then supporting with oils, your body will balance itself out. Getting good sleep. For postpartum, one of the things I want to talk about for postpartum, Pro Plus is really good for postpartum. It will not interfere with breastfeeding, so you can use that. It really helps with the postpartum mood swings and the blues because, as you know, coming off of a pregnancy, your hormone levels crash. I cried for like a week straight after every pregnancy. Just couldn't help myself. I cried at everything and anything. Another one for hormone support after baby, Joy is a really good one to use a couple times a day when you're coming off of all those pregnancy hormones. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you? Valor, you can apply Valor over your ovaries. And then Citrus Fresh over the gallbladder and the liver. It also helps with detoxing. And I don't know, did I forget any? Oh, I did bring, we're talking ladies today, but all you ladies have men in your life. I brought the Shutron oil. This is really good for men in supporting testosterone. It is known to increase testosterone, libido, all those things about men that make them feel really strong and brave. So my hubby was like super skeptical and like, just try it, put it over your heart. So it's really good. Also, Idaho blue spruce and black spruce are very good for men in supporting testosterone levels. Also, Ningxia. It is a supplement that is very good for nourishing your cells and supporting hormone levels and regulating cycles. So, Lydia, did you have anything else? Let me unmute you. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Before we go on, I've got this timer on the top that says remaining meeting time 2 minutes. What will happen if we stop? Or what if we happen if we go over? Oh, you're still muted.
I think it shuts us down. So we got 2 minutes.
Okay. No, I didn't really have much other than because your thyroid works in so much with your progesterone and estrogen levels. I just had to mention Endoflex too because it is so huge for all the hormones. I feel like thyroid's kind of like the regulator for everything else. So it's a really good one where you can just rub over your thyroid, or actually it's kind of minty, so I put a drop under my tongue. So anyways, we were going to answer a few questions, but I don't think we have time, or you can ask any questions in the group and we'll try to answer them. But I know that the next topic we're going to talk about adrenal function and stress. So we'll plan on doing that sometime next month. So if any of you were here and you do not have a kit or aren't, in on our crazy oily lifestyle, then you can always message me or Erica and we can get you started. And we were going to throw in one of the sclerescence vitalities for anyone who does not have their kit and wants to get that tonight. So you just let us know.
Or if you're here, someone else that's invited you, just reach out to them, send them a direct message, and they can hook you up. The other thing, I wanted to tell you, for women that are still cycling, in addition to the clary sage, we forgot to say frankincense into the abdomen. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else we left off?
Geranium is good for cramping too. I think that's all, maybe.
That's all. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, before we get kicked off, we have less than a minute. You got 1 minute to jump in with any questions.
Hopefully this was helpful for you guys.
Any questions? All right.